I coached myself on ayahuasca during an ayahuasca ceremony. Well, basically, while transitioning back into normal state consciousness. And in this video, I want to present kind of a proof from personal experience that coaching is a powerful tool for psychedelic integration. Hey, I'm Vego and this is Psychedelic Actualization. On this channel we talk about topics like self-realization, self-actualization, and working with psychedelics to live a more authentic and fulfilling life. A big part of the psychedelic work is the integration work, right? And I love coaching. I am practicing coaching myself, I'm getting coached, and I coach other people to help them find and actualize their life purpose and to integrate their psychedelic experiences. So if that speaks to you, click the link in the video description and I'm excited to work together with you. And I just have to share this video. I just have to share something about coaching on this channel as I'm so passionate about it, as I love it so much, as I see so much value in it. What you will see in this video, right? And this ayahuasca trip report, basically. And just like, because I share everything I love here on this channel, I just gotta share about coaching as well. And I deeply fell in love with that profession and the art and mastering the art of coaching. So the way this came about was I was at an ayahuasca retreat, right? And I was having like a powerful experience for myself. And I really had this humongous opening and God realization and all that shebang, right? And then I transitioned back, right, into normal state consciousness. At the end of the night, you're always gonna transition back into your normal state consciousness as much as you want to hold on to that wonderful divine presence and to the psychedelic space. There is gonna be a difference. At least for most normal human beings, from the psychedelic space transitioning back to ordinary state of mind and consciousness. And that was difficult for me, right? Especially in that night with ayahuasca, transitioning back into my body again. And it was a bit difficult. I was like experiencing so much energy in my system. I was so charged up by this consciousness and divine presence. It almost felt like consciousness and presence and whatever was leaving my system through my body. And I was like having all this energy. I kind of really wanted to do some yoga and move, but I was not really able to because I was sleeping in the maloka and I didn't want to disturb anybody or wake anybody up by making noise and moving around too much. And I had this racing mind, right? Oh, sometimes, especially then they're lying there and wanting to sleep, I was like having these thought loops of like just trying to comprehend what was happening, what was happening, what was that, right? This humongous opening, this divine love of like, what was that? And the mind is kicking in and trying to understand the experience, but at the same time, it's like, okay, there were these loops of like, okay, I really want to sleep now. And it's like, oh, what was that? And the mind was coming in and it was like circling in this state. Then the fear of losing the bliss of like, oh, now it's time for integration and how does integration look like? And all of this stuff was coming in and I was just restless. Restlessness was just like crazy present for me and it was very uncomfortable in that situation because I really wanted to sleep right after this hard night of ayahuasca and of doing the work, and I just wanted to sleep and wake up in the morning refreshed and able to share and be with those insights again. So I tried to consciously coach myself to kind of get out of this really uncomfortable state of mind and this restlessness in my body. And I was amazed by how effective it was. And that's what I'm gonna share. So basically a trip report where I did coach myself while transitioning back from the ayahuasca space into ordinary space. And it was so much fun and it was so effective. And what I used was kind of the core energy coaching model that I learned from IPEC, where I was trained, basically where I trained as a coach, and it worked. And I'm going to explain a little bit of the levels of energy with which the model of this process is working. So I did the whole session with myself, of like, there's a coaching agreement happening at the beginning of each session of like, okay, what is the topic you would like to work on today, right? And I was like, I want to sleep. So I was having this dialogue in my mind, and even just that, a focused conversation with myself, which we're doing all the time, but like a streamlined, focused conversation with the end goal in mind, which is basically a coaching conversation, was helping me even to have a clear focus of dialogue within myself, of like, okay, I want to sleep. Okay, then what goal specifically would you like to have achieved by the end of the session? So I was like, either I would like to sleep, or I would like to have, right, at least if I'm not sleeping, more peace of mind and peace regarding the situation of not being able to sleep. That was my true desire. And it's like, okay, on a scale of 1 to 10, where are you? 1 being not peaceful at all and 10 being in absolute peace. I was like, I'm at a 3 out of 10. I don't feel really peaceful at all at the moment. I feel really uncomfortable and stressed and like restless. And then it's like, okay, why is that meaningful for you? I was asking myself that. I was coaching myself. And then I was basically going through everything and sharing everything with myself, all these feelings. And then I was applying the coaching skills, some like basic coaching skills that I learned in the training program, onto myself. For example, one powerful one is acknowledging and validating. Oh, no wonder you're not feeling very peaceful if you've got all this energy in your body and all these thought loops running in your mind, but you really want to sleep after this intense experience. No wonder everybody in your situation would feel that way, the validation. And even though I was just truly acknowledging and validating myself in my mind by talking to myself in this coaching session, I was like, oh, this feels so good, thank you. So I was thanking myself for acknowledging my situation and for validating my feelings regarding the situation. Powerful, powerful tool. Like, always do some acknowledging and validation. I can just like say that for you as well, right? With other people, acknowledging and validating their present experience of life. It's a powerful way to enter into a conversation. So, and then the last question of the beginning of a coaching session for myself is always, okay, what do you need to address or resolve in order to achieve your goal for the session? So in order to achieve more peace of mind in this state of transitioning back from ayahuasca space into normal space, what do we need to address or resolve in order for that to accomplish that, right? And I was like, yeah, we need to address the state of the body, right? And look at that and how to approach that. Look at the state of the emotions and look at the state of the mind and the thoughts. And so we went through all of these and addressing all of these and kind of choosing how to approach them, how to shift my perspective, because that's a lot what coaching is about, a shifting of perspective on a situation, which then leads to the desired result of more peace, of more inspiration, of more alignment with how I truly want to show up. That's the work of integration, right? I was like, in the session itself, I was like, basically the integration starts now by transitioning back from psychedelic space into normal state. That's exactly the second where integration starts. It's like there's no space in between. And what is the saying in the ayahuasca community? After ceremony is where the ceremony begins. Like after the trip is where the true ceremony begins. Something like that, right? And I was amazed by how wonderful solutions I discovered and by what powerful shifts I could do within my own mind by going through this coaching process. Because with my body, right? Coaching is a lot about asking powerful questions and considering, then coming to a new insight regarding the situation. And first of all, like exploring the situation. Okay, what is the situation of the body? It's full of energy. What can I do to release that energy, right? And not just looking at the action, but what's holding me back? What's difficult about this situation? Oh, it's because I can't move. I can't do my yoga right here because everybody is sleeping around me and I don't want to disturb anybody. And then it's like, okay, what's in your control? What's in my control? Well, what is in my control is, for example, touching myself. And so then I was like following through on these ideas and insights. So I was kind of massaging myself to release, right? To kind of release the energy that was stored up in my body, that was kind of this consciousness, this divine presence stored up in the body. I was kind of slowly touching myself. I was moving in ways in which I could move, of like doing some simple stretches which were not really disturbing anybody. And so I was doing these kinds of stretches, and I was basically following through on the insights I gained by having this conversation within my own mind. And the same goes for the emotions. The same goes for the thoughts. The thoughts kind of handled themselves. The thought loop stopped by me entering into this more focused, streamlined conversation within myself. And this acknowledging and validation is wonderful. Some other coaching skills I noticed was celebration is a fun one, of like, well, good job for actually discovering this action step of touching yourself, and kudos to you for following through on that. How does that feel? I was like, oh, that feels good. And kind of these very much these empowering questions throughout the period of transitioning back were really helping me from shifting my level of energy. Because with the core energy model that IPEC is kind of teaching, there's kind of 7 levels of energy. And level 1 and 2 energy is basically where I found myself in, which is level 1 is very much connected to a sense of victim mentality, apathy. I can't do anything about it, of like, I'm helpless, hopelessness. Level 2 energy is one of conflict, a little bit of like this anger coming in, of like, oh, I'm angry, I can't really move about now because I didn't bring my tent and I can't leave the space, but I really want to move and shake out my body and I don't know what, right? And I was in this state of victim mentality and anger and conflict within myself, which was leading to a sense of unease and restlessness and a very, disaligned being within myself, even though I just had this amazing, wonderful opening in the ayahuasca space. And then throughout the session, it shifted to all the other perspectives. Level 3 is taking responsibility. Level 4 is service and compassion. And I really tapped into kind of what I call level 5 and level 6 perspectives. Level 5 perspective is, for example, what is the opportunity here? What is a win-win scenario? So just like this simple shift of perspective of, this is a situation which I don't like and which I desire to be different, is like, okay, hey, the question from the level 5 perspective of opportunity would be, hey, what can I learn from this situation? I can learn something about psychedelic integration. What's the win here, right? There's a possibility to now enter into this coaching session, this coaching conversation within my own mind and try out the skills I learned in my coach training program on myself as a tool for psychedelic integration. What a marvelous, wonderful opportunity that is, right? So much learning is happening. I'm feeling better about myself and about embracing the uncomfortable situation that I'm finding myself in, because I'm shifting my perspective from victimhood and conflict to one of opportunity. And level 6 is going into the joy of this is perfect, exactly, and just as it is. This is wonderful. Like, this is part of the process. And that was just such a powerful experience for me to actually discover and see the applying of these skills of the coaching in myself in this situation as a tool of psychedelic integration in this transitioning phase from the ayahuasca experience into a normal state consciousness again, because there was no possibility that I could sleep in that state of being. But at the end of the session, I moved my peace, right, which is the outcome of the session that was desired, the goal I set for myself for the session. I moved it from a 3 out of 10 to a 6 or 7 out of 10 just by shifting my perspective, by entering into a coaching conversation with myself. And that's basically also a lot of the goal of the coaching, is for the coach and the coachee to develop this ability of self-generation, of really basically the coachee not needing the coach anymore, because the coachee has learned so much in handling his or her own situation. And that doesn't count for me, because I would always want to be coached in my life, and I will always probably have a coach on my side, as I just love this process so much, as it's a process of raising self-awareness and of tapping into our highest potential and tapping into a conscious choice of how we truly want to show up in situations and how we truly want to see the world, right? Because this is how I truly want to see this transitioning phase from the ayahuasca space into normal space consciousness. I want to see it as an opportunity. I want to see it as perfect as it is. I don't want to hold on to the space of the insights in the ayahuasca, because that leads to suffering, this clinging and this attachment and this victimhood and this conflict. That's not how I want to show up. That's not how I want to see the situation. And just by raising this level of awareness around this, there is a possibility for me to shift my perspective into a more aligned one. And that is basically the proof for myself and my personal experience that this coaching works, and that's why I love it so much. So if you're curious about that, hey, this wasn't meant to be a pitch, but I just had to share this because it was so glorious in the ayahuasca session itself. You can book a call with me. Check out the link in the video description regarding the psychedelic integration coaching if you're curious. Not a pitch, just if it resonates. Thank you so much for watching. I love you. I hope you enjoyed this, and I'm excited for what's to come. Much love.